Welcome to Scorched and a mid-month general reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. Hello Bulls, good to see you. So, obviously shorter than the main reading for the month, which is already up, and if you haven't seen it I'll link it at the end of the video, and there is an extended to that as well, so it might be relevant to you. I'm just going to pull 3 cards for your current energy, 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and 3 cards of advice, because this is designed more to be like an energetic snapshot than anything else. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try not to pull any clarifiers, but I am open to breaking my own rules as and when required. What else do I have to tell you about Mercury retrograde? It's here. Don't be frightened. There's nothing to be worried about. There's an essential toolkit which helps you navigate it. Just a few kind of rough and ready guidelines. Don't make any massive purchases, you know, houses, cars, that kind of thing. Anything that could hold the potential of stretching you financially. Just kind of put that off for a little bit. And contracts. If you've got anything to sign, if you can possibly not sign it yet, then that's a really good move. If you must sign it, then double check and triple check the fine print, because that's the thing that's going to trip you up further along the line. Get someone that you trust to look over it as well, you know, get a second opinion, a third opinion, you know, whatever it is. But the other thing to be aware of, and this is something that I'm going to bring particular attention to for the Bulls, is that communication can get murky around this time. So people will say things and you'll take offense to them because they don't come out the right way. Like, you'll say things, people will take them the wrong way, right? It's just part of the energy. It's what it does. The best way to navigate it is to remain neutral, right? Don't take anything personally. If somebody said something off, kind of just push it to one side for a little bit, because it might be that they're as at the mercy of this energy as you are. Let me trip over your words, say the wrong thing, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, and don't make assumptions either. Do not assume that you understand the contents of somebody's head. Do not assume that they understand the contents of yours. Don't assume that trying to explain the contents of your head is going to illuminate them anymore than the already illuminated state that they were in, right? So that's all I've got to say about that. It's a very reflective energy. Just don't wander into overthinking territory with it, right? Just let it be, ride the wave and all that kind of thing. So let's get some cards for Taurus. What is Taurus' current energy right now? Cards flying all over the place here. Oh, I love that. So the first card that you've got is the 3 of Pentacles. The second card that you've got is Strength. There's some cards that pinged off over here to the right. I'm not going to take those because I only take them when they jump, and they didn't jump. So I'm going to pop them back in. And we'll get one more card for your current energy. Taurus current energy. There we go, 4 of Wands. Ooh, I like that very much. So at the bottom of the deck, we've got the 3 of Cups, right? And that for me is a card of an emotional support network. But here's the thing, it's followed swiftly by the Page of Swords, right? And you see that Page of Swords looks kind of serious, it looks kind of grave, right? I think this might be talking to the potential for miscommunication between you and those people that you hold dear, right? And like I said in the intro there, just don't take it personally for now, right? Just kind of park it to one side, because if they are part of your emotional support network, they're not trying to piss you off, they're not trying to upset you, they're not trying to do all of these things, they're just not expressing themselves very well, right? Just like the Page, he hasn't got the, you know, the niceties down of communication that the King and the Queen have got. He's still kind of naive and kind of blundering around, and sometimes says accidentally cutting things without meaning to, right? Just something to be aware of for the month of June, or well, the last 2 weeks of June actually, to be fair. So the first card that you've got is the 3 of Pentacles, and this is a card of cooperation and collaboration, but interestingly in this card the woman is sitting alone, right? And I think that that's kind of important, because it's a sense of being connected to something even if you're not in the presence of the people that you are connected to, right? It's another 3. 3s for me are numbers of the external, right? They're expansive numbers, but they are, you know, where the 3D world kind of lies. It's our interaction with it, right? And she's working away on something. She looks quite happy, actually, quite content. But because the overall meaning of the card is cooperation and collaboration, it's like you're kind of working on something, potentially for the betterment of others, but like, it's kind of like you may be making a head start on something that you know you're going to be working with someone else with further down the line. But even if it's not, it is that feeling of connection, right? Connected to a purpose, even if you are not with those people, right? It's quite content energy. I like it. The card that you've got in the middle is strength, and that speaks to me about growth. And Taurus has done a lot of growth this year. But when I saw that card, the first thing that I thought about was the lockdown, right? Wherever you are in the world, the chances are that at some point you've been set in, you know, isolation, away from community, away from those people that you hold dear, you know. And I think you might have struggled with it to start with. Well, maybe the novelty was good to start with, you know, and you're like, oh, I've actually got time to do the things that I like to do now within the house, at least anyway. But as time went on, it got uncomfortable, right? And I think you're popping out the other side of it now, because I think that you've learned an awful lot about yourself in the time that you have been in this isolated place, right? And now we're kind of popping over out the other side into a level of contentment that has come off the back of the growth that you have experienced by taking the time to lean into the discomfort, because you literally had no choice to do anything other than lean into it. Yeah? Your alternative was probably to go start raving bonkers, and I don't feel like that's what you've done here. I'm really noticing the way that the colours are kind of leaning into each other, leading into each other. Right? We've got the reds and the oranges and the yellows. Right? So now you're feeling a bit more content, right? Like the end is in sight, but there's something that you've learned about yourself and your emotional state while you've been isolated that's made you feel more comfortable in your skin than you were before. Now, the final card that you've got for your current environment is the Four of Wands, and that for me is the card of home, right? Something that we would associate very strongly with Taurian energy, because you are very good at creating that vibe. But it's wand energy rather than some sort of, you know, associated earth energy. And I think that's quite important for you, because these two cards here, if this is a sort of, you know, working towards a foundation energy sort of thing, these cards are both of fire. We've got Leo and Leo here, right? It's present is what it is. And it seems like the thing that you've learned about yourself, where you've been where you are, is that home is not your four walls, right? They certainly lend an element of stability and comfort to it, but it's not what home is. Home is in here. And I just get this tremendous sense of you being more comfortable now in your home, this home, than you have been for a long time, right? But more than that, there's a sense of kind of creating something new. You know, it might well be about those nice things that make your home a pleasant place, you know, the lush furnishings and good kitchen gadgets and stuff like that. But there's something far more internal going on with you at the moment, and it is contentment. I really like that for you. Really like that for you, Taurus. There's emotional acceptance as well. Both of these fire cards have got water on them, right? And water is feelings and emotions in the tarot, but see how they're flowing really gently through here. It looks like I always think that that's the sea when I see it, but I mean it could be a lake or something like that. But there's a sense of the emotion moving freely and you not trying to resist it in any way, and more than that, kind of having learned something off the back of it. I like that. What's coming towards Taurus, please, for the last 2 weeks of June? I don't know what that card was there. Oh, that's too many cards. Right. It's like 8 cards there. Let's try that one again. What's coming towards Taurus for the last 2 weeks of June? Ace of Pentacles. I like that for you, Taurus. I've got to say, actually, since the last time I was on YouTube, so it was like 2 weeks ago or something like that, I have done personal readings solidly. All of that time, and 98% of them have been for Taurus, and in every single Taurian reading, this Ace of Pentacles has come out. Every single one. That is statistically very unlikely, but there it is, nonetheless. It's coming towards Taurus. Okay. So, at the bottom of the deck now, we've got the moon, right? That internal space. Oh, and look at that. Wow. You've really been doing some work on yourself, Taurus. The moon is the internal space for me, so that is the unconscious, the subconscious, right? It's the bit of you that you don't really delve around in too much, right? But it is the psychoanalysts believe it's like where 90% of your reactions to anything come from is in here, right? So you might have been doing some shadow work, you might not, but consciously, at least, because you've taken the time to deal with those things that were making you uncomfortable about yourself. What we've got here is the moon, then the devil, and then the Queen of Cups. And I love that because it's about addressing those things that make you feel tethered, that make you feel trapped. That's what the devil represents, right? The earthly, material, binding, toxic things, the underlying fear that you have about anything. The fact that the Queen of Cups is following it, it's just like you went within, you found him, and then you released it, right? Because the Queen of Cups is all about being, well, she's emotionally available for a start, and it seems like you are absolutely becoming emotionally available. But she's open and she's receptive and she's forgiving and she's compassionate, and I feel like this is the sort of attitude that you are now allowing yourself to have about yourself, right? Because you can turf him out of the way, right? That's the card of Capricorn as well. I mean, you might have been dealing with a toxic Capricorn, that's the thing, but might have even been actually feelings that you have towards a toxic Capricorn. That's totally a thing. But this is about finding the things that frighten you. It's about finding the things that you're bound to, trapped by, all of those kind of things, and then releasing them and allowing new light energy to fill that space instead. It's tremendously powerful. I love it. So then we come to this Ace of Pentacles, and this is a solid new start. Of all the Pentacles that I would like to see for Taurians, it is this one, right? Because yes, it can indicate, a new job or a promotion or moving house or, some sort of opportunity to increase your material standing. I don't think that you really have a problem with your material standing, right? Your finances are good. This is about resources, your own internal resources. So time, care, effort, energy, all of these things, right? All of the things that are valuable that we don't actually put any kind of real value on as a society, right? It could well be you really discovering your own worth, right? Actually, I think because you're content, I think that you're starting to see it as it is anyway. But this is... maybe as the lockdown is starting to lift all over the place, right? This is your opportunity now to put into practice all of these things that you have learned about yourself and create a new world, right? So I was talking about creating a new paradigm. Well, here it fucking is. And this is your opportunity to express that in the material world, right? All the other aces are a little bit ethereal compared to this one. And this is the one that I like to see for you because this gives you something to work with, right? And it's about taking your new view of the world, your new perspective, right, and executing that in the world, right? We've got the Seven of Wands here. Now, this can sometimes be a guarded energy, can sometimes be protective, but what I'm drawn to is the fact that he's stood with a foot planted in those emotions there, right? And that looks like it could be further down the line right, in that same picture. Right? There's a little waterfall there. And it looks like he's being kind of attacked by invisible assailants, but he's really secure in his own emotional place. And he's standing there and he's just like, now fucking come on, I'll have you, all of you, right? Because I know who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am now, right? Your anonymous attacks, you know, those things that maybe I perceived that weren't really there before, like you're feeling emboldened to be able to deal with them now in a more practical and logical way, rather than kind of reverting back to overthinking or maybe second guessing yourself all the time, or kind of shrinking back into yourself, which is something that Taurus does a lot. This is kind of being unapologetically here. Right? Yes, I am here. I am taking up space in the universe. I have emotions and I'm going to fucking defend them, you know, because I've done my work. And then we've got the Page of Wands. For me, that's Sagittarius. It isn't strictly, but I see Sagittarius there. But it's about being excited about your new start. Yeah, yes, he's got a job to do and he's about to go off and do it for the first time, but that's not the thing that excites him. It's about the experience of this new world that he's never been exposed to before. And what you are doing by creating your new paradigm is changing everything around you. Right? And it doesn't matter if nothing has changed around you, because you're seeing it with fresh eyes and it's exciting for you. You want to experience the world on this level, in this new way of seeing things. Can't tell you how exciting that is, Taurus. That's just fucking awesome. Because it seemed at times like you haven't dared to be excited about things, just in case it went wrong, you know? All the possible ways that it could go wrong. And then try and work to you know, not let those happen. Like, you're not in that place anymore. You're content now. You're comfortable now. And if things go wrong, you just deal with them. Like, you're not having to constantly think ahead all the time and predict the ways that these might go wrong and then try and offset them really, really early. It's not what you're doing. You're riding the wave a little bit more now, taking up space. Love it. Some advice for Taurus for the last 2 weeks. Wow. Intriguing. Wow. Okay. We've got the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck, right? This is take care of your boundaries, right? Because you might have done the work to put them up, but they haven't been tested yet. And I say that specifically for a reason. I'm going to tell you why in a second, right? They haven't been tested yet. And there are going to be points where, you know, maybe bits of the boundary fall over, or maybe you realise that you put it too far that way or too far that way, right? Yeah, they're not a static thing. You can move them around as necessary, as is right for you, right? Bear that in mind. Now, advice, 10 of Pentacles, right? Commitment, security, stability, like your work on your own stability and security and sense of structure is really, really important at this time, because you're moving into a new world, right? And that's kind of uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. You're excited about it, but there's a little bit of fear underlying that as well, because you're going into something new that you haven't experienced before. So take the time to make yourself comfortable with every little step that you make before you go any further, right? Take a bit of time to check in with your boundaries and make sure that they're in the right place. But stay present while you do it. We've got the King of Wands, right? This is something that's not just going to happen by accident, all of this. Like, this is something that you have to actively be a part of. And it's something that happens in the present, right? You don't have to be in a constantly reflective state of mind all the time. Like, you can actually get to the point where you do all of this stuff on the fly. And you're being asked to kind of do that now. Right? Be active about it. Don't sit still when it comes to your own sense of security, your own boundaries, where your comfort level is, right? Because we've also got the Moon and the Devil. Like, your work is not yet quite done. There is more stuff in there. And I mean, if this is a Cancer or a Capricorn, you know, there's maybe still feelings inside that relate to those. But if not, it's like there are still things that you're afraid of inside. There are still things that are a little bit toxic in there that need a little bit of work, right? But just as like the first step is always the hardest, and you've done that and you've reached a level of contentment, you're actually in a really good place to be doing shadow work at the moment because you've hit that level of okayness that you need to be in before you can start doing this stuff. I mean, you don't go into shadow work if you're feeling all fucked up about anything, because you just literally destroy yourself, right? You have to hit that level of contentment and okayness. Like, I'm ready, I'm feeling strong, I can look at this stuff now. Know that there is still stuff there, right? So don't proceed thinking that it's all gone, because it's not. And as things come up to test you, rather than kind of freaking out and going, oh, it was all shit, none of this work that I've done is any good, go, okay, here is an opportunity to strengthen my practice. Now, I've had some feelings about this. What is this about? What are these feelings? What are they trying to show me about myself, you know? And where do I need to erect new boundaries? Where do I need to move the boundary a little bit? You know, push it out a little bit, bring it in a little bit, something like that, you know? Always staying present while you do it. Taurus, I love this reading for you. Like, this is real solid growth, right? It's actually predictably Taurian in the way that it's proper steps all the way along the line. There's no firing off too far ahead. There's no kind of, you know, lurching around here. It's just like, do this thing, perform a little check, make sure that everything's okay, and then take the next step, and the next step, and the next step, you know, always doing these checks all the way along the line. I love it for you. It's really, really exciting. So I love you all. Don't forget to check the description box if there's anything that you want to know, like social media, Patreon, all that kind of thing. It's all down there. And I love you very much. And let me know in the comments if this resonates with you, because I really love it for you. All right, take care.